Good evening, all. Okay. Good evening. So let's start with our, creating servlets. So we have discussed about, servlets and its life cycle and how to create, right, and the hierarchy. And in the hierarchy, even we have discussed about generic servlet, right, and how to create servlet by using generic servlet class. And now, we are going to discuss about creating servlets by using HTTP servlet class. Okay, so basically, HTTP servlet, it's a class. Okay, even we can say it's built on top of, it's built on top of generic servlet. Okay, so whatever the features, we have or, generic servlet is having, so all those features are applicable for this HTTP servlet. So basically features in the sense the methods which are present in a generic servlet and even the life cycle. But small differences. This generic servlet is not specific to any protocol, but if it is, if it comes to HTTP servlet, so it will be a protocol specific. So especially here it is about HTTP protocol. Okay. Along with this, so yes, this HTTP servlet provides different methods other than that init, service or destroy. So this HTTP servlet class provides do get, do post, do head, whatever the, what are all the methods we have for HTTP, all those methods can be used with the, HTTP servlet. Okay. Now, we'll create one simple servlet by using this HTTP servlet class along with its life cycle. Okay, so let me open Eclipse. It's about, it's with the JDBC. So let's get into that. So that is actually a folder. Okay, workspace I've created in the beginning. So I'm just using that same workspace. So if you need it, you can create a new workspace as well. Okay, so now let me close all this. So let me create a new one. Okay, new project. So it's a dynamic web project. And here dynamic web project is servlet activity 1. Let me take, okay, 1. Everything is fine. So now let's go to next and again next. And here, in this web, module, in this web module, we have to enable this, generate deployment descriptor, that is web.xml, and click on finish. Okay, so now we can expand this project. So you people can, observe again, the structure of project, structure of dynamic web project. So basically deployment descriptor, description will be there in this folder, but yes, we are not going to touch this, So mainly we are going to work with this Java resources, whatever the, servlet classes or Java classes we create. So compulsorily we place inside this SRC folder. And the required libraries. So here we have, JRE, but when we added servlet jar, so it will be added as a reference, libraries. And we have, in case, if you want to work with JavaScript resources also, it is applicable for this dynamic web, project. And we have build. So even with the build, we are not going to touch. So here it is about web content. So actual, task will be with this web content folder. In this web content, we will be having 2 folders, subfolders, meta.inf and web.inf. So here WebInf plays, major role. So because, our deployment descriptor will be there inside this web.xml, or in future, if you want to keep any, or if you want to create any web, views like HTML or JSP pages, so you can create one subfolder inside this, and yes, you can keep it. Okay. And lib folder basically to, place your library files, like the jar which I stored yesterday, which I added. So which jar is that? Servlet jar. Okay. In case sometimes, sometimes even though if we added jar files in class path or a build path, sometimes it will not get reflect. I mean, there might be a few errors. In such cases, we can copy paste inside this folder. Okay. Right. So we have already discussed about web.xml or deployment descriptor, right? I have not explained all these things, but I've explained Servlet configuration. So because why I have not explained, because we are not using any view pages for now, right? So I have not concentrated. In case if any view pages, okay, view pages in the sense either HTML or JSP pages. So we have not yet, gone through JSP. Later, you people come to know what exactly JSP is about. So if you are having, more view pages or any view pages, so in such cases, we can pass in this welcome file list tag. Okay. So for now, I'm going to remove all. So let's go to create one servlet. That's for HttpServlet, right? So right click on, SRC, and if needed, you can create a package. So web dot, I'm taking it as an ExcelR or application. Okay. So package name should be meaningful. In real time, so they have to maintain, or you people have to maintain very perfectly with a meaningful name. Okay, so now this is related to the HTTP servlet. So what I'll do, so com.web.http. I'm not going to pass HTTP servlet class name. Okay, we should not use any predefined components as the package names or class names. Okay, that will not be accepted. So please observe, yes, I'm giving it as an lowercase servlet. Okay, so now click on finish. And now again right click on this folder, and yes, create a servlet. And this servlet is about servlet servlet creation called welcome. So I'm just taking it as a welcome page, welcome servlet. Okay, so now let's say we have a project source folder where this welcome servlet page will be, or class will be created. And again, this is the package name and the class name and the subclass. So subclass in the sense by default, okay, by default, whichever the class we are going to create, those classes will be, by default inherited from this, the existing class. Okay. If you want, you can, if you want to change, you can change by clicking on a browser. Okay. By typing here, choose a super class. But I don't want, let me show you. What is it? Generic. So here, so when I type, here, so it's actually not fetching. Shows why it is not showing. Basically, it will show list of matched items here. Okay, but it's not accepting now. Let me try again. So that is from Java X dot Servlet dot generic. I don't know, it's not fetching. Okay. It's not fetching. Actually, when we type, the relative classes, actually it fetches from the repository, but it's not fetching. I don't know. I'll check and then we'll discuss on this. Okay, let's move. Fine. So here, it says use any existing servlet class or JSP, but for now, no. And it's taking it as the same class as the welcome servlet. So click on next. And please observe the name of your servlet is welcome servlet, and we are not passing any description. If you want, you can pass it. Okay. And for now, we are not passed any parameters. Okay. And please observe the URL mapping. Okay. And URL mapping, it's used as same as class name. If you want, you can change here. We can modify by double clicking on this. We can modify. So here simply I can change it as in welcome. Okay. And now click on next. And here by default it's selected because we are using we have overridden superclass as an HttpServlet, right? So let me remove this comment, select option for constructor and inherited abstract methods. So if I comment here, so these all methods will be gets disabled. But here let me take for do get. We'll see the differences between both the methods. Okay, and now click on finish. Okay, so now actually it's giving error. Let me remove these annotations. For now, we are not going to discuss about annotations. Right, so let's go to our Servlet activity 1. Right click on the project. Either you can go to properties and you can select, you can add those jars, or directly you can jump to build path, and from this place also you can add those required jar files. Okay, so now click on add external jars. So here I have to select Servlet. Right. Actually, we have to download this from the Google. So download it and try to insert it. Hope you people have observed whatever the errors we have here, right? All those errors are gone. Right. So let me fine. So let me remove the comments, or else let me add comments. Creating welcome Servlet class by extending HTTP Servlet. Okay, so this is a comment. Either you can use this single line comment, or you can use it as a double line comment. So actually I disabled this comment, but it's not, it's selected for the constructor. Okay. So now it's about, do get method. And one more thing I've not explained even, in a previous class about serial version. So, I hope you people might heard about serialization, right? So basically serialization is a process of writing state of an object to the file, right? And while writing that, so, for that process, there might be a, ID for each, object while writing state of an object to the file. Okay, so that, by default, one ID will be created for each class. So here it is about, serial version ID as, 1L. Okay, so if you want, actually, you can comment it if you are not serializing, but it won't give any issue, if we are passing this, serialized or serial version UID. Okay, but I commented, right? So when I when I commented, please, you can let me remove this. Please observe when I remove this comment. So the yellow color mark, the warning message is gone, right? See, immediately warning messages, it has come. So what is it? Serializable class welcome, welcome servlet does not declare a static final serial version UID field of type long. So it says, it gives some quick, options to correct this. So what is it? Either we can add, default serial version ID, or we can generate serial version ID, or we can have suppress warning. Okay, suppress warning for this welcome message. Okay, or else we can go for configuring this problem security. So always, for the applications, better to have this serial version UID. So you don't need to write explicitly. Whenever you create a solid class, by default, this serial version ID UID will be created. Okay, so next, we are going to look into our, do get method. So hope you guys have, recalled about your do, get, post, head, delete. So here, actually, it is taken by default, it's overridden as protected. Even we can have, public as well, but not private. So let's get into this, inside this method. If you want to write any data, you can check. So I'm just checking it as, I'm writing system.out.println. This is HTTP. Okay, HTTP Servlet. HTTP Servlet is called. Okay, so this is just, general I'm passing. I'm not doing anything else for now. So let me show whether it prints, the statement, whatever I've written inside this do get method to the console or not. So it says, actually, it is saying 404 error. So why it is 404 status, HTTP status as a 404? Because we have not configured this servlet in our deployment descriptor. Am I right? So let's go to that deployment descriptor as, web.xml, and here we have to configure this. Configure this, which servlet is that? Welcome servlet. So how to configure? So for configuring servlet, we have to use, servlet tag, or, we can call it as an element, and inside this servlet name is a first. So that is welcome servlet. And the next one is servlet class. Right, and here we have to pass fully qualified class name. So instead of writing, I'll just go to this welcome servlet and I'll copy this package name. So I copied that, HttpServlet dot welcome Servlet. So this is, my class. Right. So now let's go to Servlet mapping. Servlet mapping. So inside the Servlet mapping, what needs to be passed? Servlet name and URL pattern. So again, Servlet name. So Servlet name is, let's copy this Servlet name. So that is, welcome Servlet. And now, so let me pass, what is it? URL pattern. Okay, so in this URL pattern, as I passed, we can have welcome. Okay. And now let's go to, our Servlet and, redeploy this. Hope it is, deployment descriptor, is clear. If any queries, you can ask question. So when I run this, again, it restarts the server. So every time, whenever you redeploy your application, especially with the servlets, every time, server gets restarted. Okay. And click on OK. And now you people can observe. So here is a URL pattern. URL pattern is what? / with welcome, which we have passed here in the web, web.xml, this one. Okay, and whatever I have written in the do get method, do get method. So that statement is printing to console. Hope it is clear. So console statement is done. Now, with the same existing application, we'll write, we'll try to write some data to the browser. Okay. So for printing data to the browser, printing, instead of printing, let me write setting content type. So this is our first step. Always in any service method, we have to set the content type. Okay. So how do we set the content type? Please observe. First of all, let me write from the beginning. Okay. I just removed this method. Okay, I removed that method and I'm writing, from the beginning. So public public void do get. This is about get, right? So do get, and inside this do get method, compulsory we have to pass 2 arguments. Okay, so what are those 2 arguments? HTTP Servlet request and its object. Hope you all remember, HTTP protocol handles request and responses, right? So we have to pass, those objects by using its related, interfaces. Okay, so request object is done, and now again I have to pass for, HTTP Servlet response. Okay, response. Why this? It's wrong. And now, so after passing this, HTTP Servlet request and responses, so we need to handle exceptions, compilation, compiled exceptions. That is, I'm using, throws keyword instead of try catch. So actually we can use try catch block. Okay. Let me change the forward actually. 1 second. I mean, 1 minute. not properties. I forgot that option again. Preferences. Just to change the font size. I guess this one only. Why it's not reflecting? Fine. So now throws. Let me move to this, to the next line. Throws. What kind of exception it is? So this is, Servlet exception. Okay. For now, I just use it as in Servlet exceptions. And now inside this, as I said, first we have to set, content type. Content type. So to whom we have to, to which object we have to set the content type? Always it will be for the response object. Okay, response dot set content type. Okay, set content type is always, within double quotes, we have to pass, text slash HTML. So this is the content type we are going to, pass. Even we can have a text or any PDF files, etc. Depending on the necessity, we can have, or we can change this content type. Okay, so then I'm going to create, print writer object. Okay, so how do we create print writer and its object? I'm taking it as a P, or let's go with the out equals to. So where you will write, so especially with while giving response only, right? And again, we are going to use this response object. Okay, response dot get writer. And actually it's it says, it is saying some compiler error, so it is a kind of unhandled exceptions, because this is from IO, right? So I had to include one. Okay, so let me handle, along with this Servlet exception, let me handle that IO exception as well. If any input output, issues occur, so this IO exception gets, handled, right? And then, after this, so let's take that out object, out dot print. Okay, so in this, within double quotes, we have to pass, we can pass HTML code. Okay, so now it's HTML, and again, so out dot print, and here within double quotes, so let's pass, body tag. So either we can pass in same, println statement, or in different. Okay, so here it is about print, and again double quotes. So let's take, let's take right, h1 tag. Okay. So in the h1 tag, right, creating servlet by using HTTP servlet. Okay, so this is what I've written here. Okay, so let's close this h1. And now let me try with the color. Okay, style equals to, okay, color colon red. And now we have to close, one minute, guys. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so now why it is an error with the style? Okay, so now again our dot print. So in our dot print, we have to close this body tag, right? And yes, body tag. And along with this, I am closing HTML as well. Okay. And now let's go to bring this to the browser. Okay, now. Right. So again, it's, the server is getting restarted. Somewhere body tag is not closed properly. So actually it will not get refreshed. We have to, restart the server, then only modifications or any changes done that will be reflected. Hope you all can observe, right? Any queries in this? If no questions, I'll move ahead. So here, till now we have seen only response object, right? And now we'll discuss about, request object. Okay, so this is about your HTTP protocol, and yes, now I've taken do get method. For now, I cannot show you any differences. When I taken any, when I try to take any input values from the user, in that case, I can show you this. Okay, so I can show you the differences between post and get method. Fine, so now let's take, one form tag. So I'm going to create one HTML form, HTML page. Okay. Or let's take login. Okay, login or register and anything. So here, we have body tag allow inside this. Let me take h1 as login form. Login form. And now let's take form tag, and along with the form tag, for now I've not taken any action. Okay, and let's see, method equals to, so I'm taking get method for now, get method. Okay, and right, so user name. Okay, so here input, and for input type equals to text. We are already familiar with this, right? And input type is text. And again, so name equals to, so this name is also an attribute of input tag. So name equals to, I'm just taking it as a uname. Okay, and yes, let's go to close this. Okay, and now again I'm taking break. Right, so again okay, so again input type, input type equals to, it's a password, not text. If needed, you can take text as well, but password should be secured, so we can have a password. And here again, so name equals to, I'm taking it as an PSW. Okay, why it is showing error? Okay, it's gone. Now again, so we can have a break. Okay, again, so one more input field we needed, so that is for the button. And now, so value equals to, so I'm passing it as a login. Okay, so this is my form page. Fine, and now let's create one login servlet. Okay, I'm creating one login servlet. Actually, I've taken that same package. Okay, same package I've taken. So let's go to create servlet. So servlet name, I'm taking it as a login servlet. Okay, and now click on, please observe this URL pattern or URL mapping. So it's taking it as a class name itself. So now let me change it as a login. Okay. Right. So click on, let's go with a do get method only. Okay. So now, servlet is created. Let me remove this web servlet. So actually, by default, it's taking as an, annotations part. Okay, so for now, I'm not taking annotations. We will, we can have one more class for annotations separately. And in that class, we'll discuss. Okay, So by default, even comments are generated. So what is it? Servlet implementation class login servlet. Whenever we create a servlet, any user defined class, that class must be extended from, this specific servlet classes. But so these classes implicitly implemented from, servlet interface. So we have discussed servlet interface in the, last class, right? Shake. We can write, Ashik, we can write, but yes, to be clear, I've written in separate, print methods. So actually, why I'm giving in real time, that will not be accepted, because, there should be a code quality. So we need to have each, line for each tag. Of course, we can pass, all the output lines in single print method. Okay, so let's, let me remove this constructor. And now again, I'm taking this, right. Let me remove these two lines. Okay. And now request and responses. So what task needs to be done? First, we have to set the content type. Set content type. So always content type will be for the response object. Okay, response dot set content type. Okay, so here text slash HTML. Okay, and now print writer. Let me take it as a P equals to response dot get writer. Okay, so now I'm trying to get, retrieve value from user. Okay, so how do we retrieve? That's with the help of request object. Okay, so now let me create one string variable name as a name equals to, we can take anything, okay, equals to request dot get parameter. So we have a method called get parameter in case if we wants to get value from the user. Okay, so now we have to pass, the argument name, which is passed as a name in HTML form. So let's go to login, and here is about, you name. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. Okay. And now again, so we have, string. Basically will not display password, but still we can, we can call that, we can retrieve from the user. So password equals to, sorry, so it's a, request dot get parameter. Okay, so get parameter, it is a PSW. PSW is the parameter name. Okay, and now let's take here, so now is it's done. Okay, so if needed, now if needed, you can what is it? So you can validate that, if name, dot equals instead of this equals this equals to within double quotes ExcelR and password equals to ExcelR 1, 2, 3. Right. So here again, I'm taking out dot. It's not out actually. It is p dot print. I'm printing the username, just username. Welcome. So welcome to ExcelR along with the name. Okay. Else it has to print enter and password. Okay, so this is what I've taken here. And now we have an so login form, and actually we have to configure this in web.xml, right? So now let's go to web.xml and right, so let's write the configuration again. So configuration for login servlet, right? And servlet. So in the servlet name. So servlet name is login servlet, and servlet class, fully qualified class. It's so I'll copy the same package because inside the same package we have created the class. So what is that? Login servlet. Okay. So now again, servlet mapping. Okay, servlet mapping and servlet name again. And now servlet name and URL pattern. So URL pattern, actually, I guess we have passed it as a login. Fine. So now let's go to, now I'll copy this. Okay, I'll copy this, login and move to this login page, login.html, and somewhere we have action, right? So paste here. I copied and I paste it. In the sense, when we click on a button, okay, when we click on a login button, so it will immediately reaches to the web.xml, and in web.xml it searches about login, as an URL pattern. Okay, so it searches for the URL pattern, and so what is it? Cheat. Okay, so now what happens here? It searches for the URL pattern. If that is present, immediately it searches for the login, servlet name, and the control immediately reaches to the servlet configuration along with the name. If both the names are matches, if both the names are same, then it reaches to a login servlet, and inside that login servlet, what we have implemented, the logic. So depending on that logic, it performs that action. Okay. So now let's go to login.html. So here actually we can have, style CSS, we can pass. CSS, CSS style for the font, break tag, and for we have input type, right? So we can pass all CSS part for this form type. But for now, let me run and check whether it is displaying properly or not. Then I'll try to modify. Yes. It's not redirecting. Yes, I have to use / here. But still it's not. This is affected. Everything is fine actually. Let me check with post method once. Now it's restarting. Let's see now. It is only inside this. I'm trying to change the URL pattern. It's not at all fetching this. Everything is fine, but don't know what exactly problem is about. Let's try to give welcome file list. Here in the welcome file list. So this is welcome file, and the welcome file will be login.html. .html. Last trial, because I know everything is fine. it says this servlet is not found. I'm just trying to change the name. That's it. It's not reflecting to. Let me try to, first of all, of course, login page is, correct. Nothing is wrong. Web.xml is also fine. But is there any confusion with this? Let's see. So everything I passed in lowercase. And now here I'll remove this forward slash and I'll use without forward slash. Now it's working. ExcelR. But nothing is displayed. Why? Now I'll check with get method. Why it's not finding? Due to that forward slash, it's not, redirecting. So here. It is taking the values, but it's not printing. Let me check the console. It's not printing to the browser. let's see now. H1. Okay, so I'll take say actually, as I said, when we use a get method, the username and password will be exposed to URL. So it's not secure. Okay. I modified with the few changes, but still let's read it again. What I'll do here, I'll just copy this value and I will try, because the type values are not taking if anything wrong. It's getting inside the loop, but it's not printing any reason. I will do, I'll just simply try to print that username to the browser and I'll check. Okay, so p-dot, anyhow, I have this now, so I'll copy paste. So hope now it will work. It will work in the sense it will just display to the browser. That username will display to the browser. I don't know why it's not getting inside conditional statement. Null. Null is the username. I should run from here. Actually, here now I can enter anything. Okay. So it's displaying along with the name, along with the username and password. I will check with that conditional statement why it's not printing in, getting inside and printing that. Okay. But for now, yes, without conditional statement, without validation, I just printed username to the browser. Okay, and validation should work. but let me check once with this validation and then printing, username to the browser. Okay. Any queries in this? Okay, so now let's get into the another concept. So that is about Servlet context and Servlet config. Any one of you aware about Servlet config and Servlet context? Okay. So let me create one new folder, new package, not folder. Form dot. Someone suggested name dot equals. You can use that, but for both we cannot, at a time. Let's see. I'll try that. Okay. For now, this is for context. I'll give it as an initialize. Initialize. Okay. So this is for initializing Servlet. Okay. So how to initialize Servlet? So Servlet can be initialized by two ways. So basically, you people might heard about local variables and global variables, right? If it is local variable, the way those variables are specific to a block, right? But if it's a global, those values can be accessible over the class, right? And now we are trying to find the differences, for local variables and for global variables, not by using these names. Okay. So we are having a name called Servlet config and Servlet context. So these are the interfaces. Okay. These are the interfaces. Now I'll discuss about Servlet config. I can take a new activity instead of taking this. 1 second. Let me remove this. So I'm generating new project. Okay, this is for Servlet initialization. Servlet param init. Okay, so this is the project name here I'm using, and is deployment descriptor, and I'll click on finish. Okay, so project is generated. Now let's get inside SRC, create a package, and package name form dot. Okay, so this is for the Servlet, dot init one. Okay, let's take params. Parameters initialization, nothing else. Okay, so now let's take the class, Servlet class. Servlet class name. This is for the Servlet config, right? So now Servlet config. I'm taking it as in Servlet config demo. and URL pattern is that same. That's fine. And let's go with the do get and finish it off. Okay, so now, so let me remove this, Servlet. Annotations part I'm removing, and actually I didn't have, added this jar file, right? Servlet jar. So click on Servlet, right, add it, and click on OK. So now all those errors are gone. Okay, so now I'm going to initialize, parameters to specific to this servlet. Okay. So now let me give you the credentials as, suppose if you want to log in or if you want to attend to this session, definitely you need to have, compulsorily you need to have, credentials which are applicable for, only for the ExcelR, right? So these credentials cannot be used for any other web applications right now. So to define, specific properties or, parameters to this servlet, we are going to use, or we can use this servlet config. Okay, so how do we define, parameter, to a specific servlet? So that is with the help of init param. Okay, so where do we define, where do we define those parameters? Obviously inside your deployment descriptor. Okay, so let's go to your web.xml. And now, so obviously I have to define my, servlet. So what is that again, servlet, not reference, servlet, and inside this servlet name. So what is that servlet name? That is servlet config demo. Let me copy and paste it. Okay. So copied and pasted, and now it is servlet. Servlet class. So class is basically com dot servlet dot params dot class name. Okay, so now I'm defining, I'm defining few parameters. Okay, either you can have single parameter or you can have many, more than one parameter. Okay, so let me define, by adding comment, initializing parameters to which servlet is this? To servlet config demo class. Okay, so how do we define? That's with the help of init param. Okay, init param is a kind of, root tag now. Okay, always we must pass inside this servlet attribute or servlet element. Remember, not outside of it. Okay, and now param name. So param name I'm taking as an ExcelR, and param value. So here let me check. Okay, so assume that I had, I'm giving value as in 100. Okay, so this is a value for this parameter. Fine. And now as usual, go ahead with the, what is it? Servlet mapping. Servlet mapping and servlet name. So servlet name is, and URL pattern. Okay, URL pattern is / with, servlet config. I'll pass it as an, config. Yes, config has. Okay, so now let's go to our package. So where we have a class, and now we'll try to get that parameter. Okay, we'll try to get the parameter. So how do we get that parameter? So that's with the help of an interface called Servlet config interface. And before that interface, we have to set the content type for the response object. Okay, response dot set content type. Set content type is basically text / HTML. Okay, and now as usual, if you want to write something to the browser, print writer equals to again response dot get writer. Okay, so now please observe calling Servlet init parameter. Okay, so how do we call that? That's by calling Servlet config. So you can observe it's an interface, and I'm passing object name as a config equals to. So how do we get those parameters? So we get those parameters with the help of what is it? Get Servlet config method. Okay, get Servlet config. So this is a method, and we need to call exact parameter name. In case if you want to print the value. So how do we do that? String I'm taking it as a value equals to this config object. So this object dot config dot get init parameter, and we have to pass that parameter name. So what is the parameter name here? That is ExcelR. So I'll copy this and I'll paste here within double quotes. Okay, so now, yes, I'll try to print this to the browser. Okay, so that is p dot print p dot print. This is about init param, right? So here I can write it as an value of Servlet init param or init parameter. So let's come out of the quotes, double quotes, and print that variable. Pass that variable name here. Okay. Right. So now you can close the connection for print writer. So basically, we have to close the resources which we are open. So which resource here I open, that is actually print writer. Okay, so you can write it explicitly, or else you can use a try with resources, that will close all the resources, automatically. So now I'm executing. Hope you guys can see here, the value. It's not only with the numeric, even, numeric values, even we can pass string value as well. Okay, for ExcelR, I'm writing Java classes. So what I'm writing Servlet line class. So this is the parameter which I initialized for this ExcelR. So I'll try to redeploy this again. turn on server. Hope you guys can see, so there won't be any, issues with the numeric values or with the string values. But the intention, it's, you try to initialize parameters for a single servlet, or maybe, those values are a, what is it? Common. Hope it's clear about, servlet config. Now we'll see one more interface, that is servlet context. So as the name, indicate, context is about global. Okay, so whenever we declare a variables, so those variables are, I should not call it as a variables, actually I should call it as in parameters. Okay, so those parameters are, common for all the servlets which are there in a specific or in a project. Okay. So now we'll see one simple example for our config. One second. So suppose if we have more parameters, more parameters, then what we can do? Okay. So let's try to pass few more parameters. So here, where is that web.xml? Here it is. Okay. Now I'll try to pass few more parameters. Again, I'm initializing. So this is the first one, initializing parameters, first one. And now let me write here, in comment. Host param. Host param. And I'm taking one more parameter. Okay. Second param. And for second param, again, init param. And inside init param, param name. So parameter name. Java program. So I have one as a parameter name. So value we have to pass, right? Param value. So param value as in provides live classes. It provides live classes. Okay, if needed, you can pass few more parameters. So let me try, copy and paste for the third parameter. Okay, so it's not 2 I'm picking. So again, provide certificates. Okay, so assume that this is the one I have taken. Now let's go to our, I'm taking one more servlet. Okay, I'll create one more servlet. And okay, so Servlet config demo 1. Okay. Fine. So now what I'll do, I'll just take this, hmm, so again, response dot set content type. So set content type as, text slash HTML and print writer. So equals to response, dot get writer. And now please observe, in case always, if we have more than one, parameter, definitely we need to, use looping statements, right? So here I'm going to take that same, servlet config. Here it is. Okay, servlet config and its object, config equals to get servlet config. Okay, and right. So here there is a class. What kind of class it is? What exactly that is? We have a class called enumeration. So if you people have heard about enumeration or iteration, not iteration, iterator. Okay, so those are the kind of interfaces. So now I'm taking that interface here. Okay, so now enumeration interface along with this generic type as I'm taking it as a string. Okay, so string and its enumeration. I'm taking it as an en equals to config dot, config dot get init parameter names, because we have more than one, so it's not get init param, it's a init param names. Okay, so now we can take a conditional looping statements and we can get all those variables, right? So now let's take looping statement. Basically, while loop or any enhanced loops also we can take up. Okay, so here in this while loop, enumeration object, that's enum dot dot has more elements. So it returns true when this enumeration init parameters are having more than one parameter. Okay, so in case if it is a single one, that that time it returns true, and if it is again it goes to iterate, that time it returns false. Okay, so now string yes equals to this object, which is that enumeration object dot next element. Okay, so this is for getting each element, and I'm printing that e dot print I'm printing it as a param name plus s. And we have to print value as well now. So for printing values, p dot print, and here we can call what is that, config object dot get init param. So here we can pass param name as string variable. Yes, because that's a parameter name. So depending on the parameter name, it returns a value. Okay. So value here, param value. It's not normal value, param value. Okay. So now let's go to deploy this. Somewhere I'm getting error. So it's because of not closing, semicolon. Okay, so now let's go to deploy. Hope everything is fine, right? Right, so now run on server. Okay. Params, solid param init 404. Oh, actually, I have not configured. I have configured with this, demo. So now what I'll do, fine. I'll copy paste this configuration. Small change. So now I try to change this for the demo 1 so that we don't get any confusions here. Okay. So now demo 1, that is fine. Something I have to change here. It's for demo 1. Nothing I did, I just copied and pasted. So here I should have Servlet. This is Servlet mapping. And here I should have Servlet. So your question is, also we have a session tracking technique. So we'll see in that class, okay? There is a great concept of session tracking. Init param. Hope it's clear, but still it's not clear. Okay, so this is for the, this configuration phase for configuration for Servlet config demo, which is having single init parameter. Okay. And now we are working for Servlet config demo 1, where we have multiple, init parameters. Okay, so now let's go to redeploy. What else is missed? URL pattern. Yes, config 1. But now why it is giving X, 104 error because everything is fine, but still somewhere is missed. I actually commented the first servlet. So now let me check clearly what I missed. So we have servlet name for servlet config demo 1. Okay, so the problem is, this class is not configured at all because class name is, different. So C is uppercase. Servlet config. So in that C is uppercase. So that's the reason it's not finding, the class. Now let's go to redeploy. Why it is run as server says already running. There is some error in web.xml. What is that? Okay, so actually I missed this one. So I had to comment from this 26th line. That is the reason. Fine. So even if it is there, not an issue. Okay. So let's go to redeploy. Hope it will work now. Okay. So I had to use break tag. Okay, actually it's retrieving and it's printing, all the values. All the values in the sense the parameters which I initialize in web.xml. So param name is ExcelR, but still again I had to use one more break for this first param. Okay. So here I can add before this, param name, PR tag. Okay. So you guys can check this, check the modifications. Right. So param name is HLR1 and value for it. And for the second, param name along with the value, even third one. So if you want to provide, in simple way, let's say, XLR student name and assume that the address. So how many members are there? So depending on the strength, so we can initialize. So, which is common here, as a servlet name, I'll take it as an, XLR solutions. Under XLR solutions, I'll initialize parameter name as, each student name. Okay, each one of you who is attending live classes, I'll mention your name and, the address. Okay, so that is how we can use this servlet config interface. Hope it's clear. Any queries in this? If no queries, we can move to another, concept, that is servlet context, the common property. So we can, get it as a common property. Now let's take, let's take one simple class. Instead of class, let's open our, web.xml. This is for servlet param init, right? So now I'm taking it as a servlet context. Okay. So when we talk about a context, the values which are, common. Okay. So common in the sense, assume that I have to share the link of this live class to everyone. Instead of, sharing that, I can, I can mention in one place and I can give it that, give that access to everyone, right? Or else, this live class can be accessible or can be attended by, can be attended by any, any member who registered, right? So as a common property, I'm going to declare. So how do we declare? So if we want to make any parameters as a common parameter or a global, access, then we have to use a, an attribute called context param. Okay, context param. I'm writing in comments here. Or else I could have taken new, let me take a new project itself so that there won't be any confusion. So here, let me add comment again for this, initializing more than one param. More than one init param. Okay, so fine. I'll take one more, one more project that's for, solid context. Okay, solid context. So generate, web.xml. And now let's go to this, context demo. So here, let's go to this. Let me remove because I'm not using any welcome file list for now. So first of all, I have to create a servlet now. So let's get into this SRC folder, create package. So basically I'm taking, okay, so XLR dot XLR dot context. Okay, so I'm taking, I've taken here as a context. This is the package name. Finish, and let's get inside this package and create one servlet. Okay, servlet name is servlet context demo. Okay, and now finish. And I have to add the jar file as well, right? And now right click on this, build path. So yes, all those errors are gone. Fine. So now, okay, so this is our, what is it? Servlet class. And for this, I have to initialize any one property as a common property. Fine. And for that, let's get into the web.xml. Okay, so always inside web app. So we must, we must initialize its parameters. Okay, so first of all, we have to pass servlet configuration, right? So that is servlet and servlet name. Servlet name is what here? Servlet context demo. So let's let me go to that particular servlet class and copy that name, and let me paste it here. And now it's a servlet class. So servlet class is about the package ExcelR dot context dot what is that name? ExcelR context. Right, I have it's already copied. So this is servlet mapping now. Okay, so in the servlet mapping, servlet name is spelling mistake actually. I'll copy that same, and now it's URL pattern. Okay, URL pattern is about / with context. Okay, and now let's go to servlet class. So again, we have to set the response type. Response dot set content type. Set content type as what is here? Text / HTML. And now print writer, right? A equals to again response. So because I've already explained, we are going to write some data to the browser. I mean, that's a kind of response to the client, right? So always we use a response object. Suppose if you want to get any values from the user, in such cases, we call a request object. Fine, get writer it is. Now, so servlet context. Servlet context and context equals to get servlet context. Did I define anything here? No, right? So come back to the web.xml, and now I'm going to define context param. Okay, context param is param name. Param name is ExcelR. Param value is live class. Okay, live class style class. Right? And now let's go back to say this, now these values are, this ExcelR with the value live classes are common for, common for any servlet which we create inside this project. Okay. So now let's go back to this and, right. So let me create a string variable s equals to context dot, okay, context dot get init parameter. So what is the parameter name? That is ExcelR. And now p dot print value is. Okay, so value is, I'm gonna print this s. Fine, so let me print this. Let me deploy this one. It's not, it's giving 4, not 4 error. So what needs to be done here now? Let's go back to, why is it? ExcelR, is that package name is correct? Hope you guys can see, so it's printing the property or, the param which I defined here. Okay. So it is just printing it as in live classes. So let me show you the browser. So value is, live class. Hope it's clear. Again, again, we'll have one more activity on this solid context in the next session. Okay. If any queries, so please drop a message in chat window so that I can, get back to you. Okay, so time is up. If any questions, you guys can drop a message in chat window so that I'll get back to you. Fine. So we'll wind up the session. Thanks to all.